Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. If there were 39 people on the bus and 4 people got off the bus, that would leave 35 people remaining on the bus. So the fraction of people staying on the bus is 35 out of the 39 people on the bus. So our answer is, as a fraction, 35 over 39. And we can't cancel that any further. For us to create the largest number, we need to pick the biggest digits for the start of the number. So the biggest digit is 7, then 6, then 4, then 3. But the question says it wants the largest even number, so we need to just swap the last two around to make sure that it is even. So our answer is 7,634. Multiples are times tables, so the multiples of 2 are the times table of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc, etc. So the only number in this list that is in the 2 times table is the 6. And to work this out, we just need to type in 0.3 on the calculator and then press a button that mostly on most calculators looks like this, and it will just square it for us. If you can't find that button, all you need to do is do 0.3 times 0.3, and that will give you the same answer of 0.09. If we write in how many sides each shape has, triangle has 3, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5, hexagon 6, you'll notice the number of vertices is twice the amount of each of them. So if a shape has 15 sides, we just times that by 2 and it will have 30 vertices. In algebra, we don't show the times sign, so 17 times A times B just simply becomes 17AB. If you imagine these numbers written out as a list, there would be 5 lots of zeros, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'd be 9 lots of 1, so 1, 1, etc, etc. Okay, so when we're looking to see the total number of goals scored in the season, we could write them out as a list and then add them up, but a quicker way of doing that is just multiplying the amount of goals by the frequency. So we've got 5 lots of 0 goals, which will just be 0, 9 lots of 1 goal, so that's just 9, 4 lots of 2 goals, so that's 8, 6 lots of 3 goals, that's 18, and then 6 lots of 4 goals, that's 24. So all we need to do now is add up the 0, 9, 8, 18 and 24, which brings us to 59. So there were 59 goals scored. We're going to start just by copying out the question. Now when we're asked to solve, it means we need to find x, okay? And I'm going to start by putting in my solving lines, which are just lines to the left and right of the equal sign. And what we need to do is get x on its own on the left hand side. Well, what's stopping x from being on its own? We've got this 12 here. Well, what's that 12 doing to the x? Well, it's timesing it by 12. So we need to do the opposite of that to get rid of it. What is the opposite of times 12? Divided by 12. Now these lines show us we've got to do the same to the left and right. So if I divide the left hand side by 12, I have to divide the right hand side by 12. So on the left hand side we just have the x, which is what we want. On the right hand side we do 36 divided by 12. How many 12s in 36? That would be 3. So our solution is x equals 3. Whenever we multiply two negatives, we always get a positive, so we know our answer will be positive. We're going to do 9 times 12, which is going to be 108, and v times v, which is going to be v squared. The first piece of information I'm going to focus on is the fact Denver gets 8/19. If Denver gets 8/19, that means that Engel and Fido together must get 11/19 because they have to add up to 1. So we're only looking at 11/19. I'm going to focus on the ratio next of Engel to Fido. So it's 9 to 5. And let's have a look and see, well, first of all, how many parts there are altogether. So 9 plus 5, which is 14 parts. So there are 14 parts in total, and the share that they get is 11 over 19. So what I'm going to do is to find out what fraction one of those parts is worth by dividing 11 over 19 by 14. So each part is worth, and I'm just going to keep this into my calculator, 0.041 blah blah blah. And we're asked to find Fido's share. Well, Fido has 5 parts, so Fido has 5 parts, each of them worth 0.041 blah blah blah. I've kept it in my calculator to keep the accuracy, and when I do that I get 0.206 blah blah blah. Now we're asked to work it out as a percent, so I'm just going to times that by 100. So we have 20.676 blah 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 percent, and it wants it rounded to the nearest percent, so that would be 20%. Or actually it would be 21%, because this would round it up, so 21%. So when you look at this graph, it looks like it's going down as well as up. So it goes down to start off with, and then it starts going up, but then it starts going down again. And when you're looking at trends, you're looking, generally speaking, what's happening with it. So if you kind of draw a line to represent roughly where the graph is going, that line is going to go up. So the general view on it, the general trend, is that it is increasing. So you can write general increase in emissions. So we have a set of vertically opposite angles here and here, and we're going to start with those because we have to find out what m is before we can work out what x is. And vertically opposite angles are always equal, so we've got 13m plus 39 is going to equal 2m plus 149. And we're going to get our lines in there because we're going to solve this. And to solve this, we first of all take away the smaller amount of m, because we've got m's on both sides. We can't really cope with that when we're solving. And so we've got a 13m and a 2m. So we're going to remove the 2m. We're going to take that away from both sides to start off. And so we're left with 11m plus 39. And we've just got the 149 on the right hand side. Next we're going to remove the number, so take away 39 from both sides, and we've got 11m is equal to 110, and then we're going to divide both sides by 11 to find out what m is. So m therefore equals 10. So we know if m equals 10, we can then work out x, and the way we can do that is the fact that this one and this one are both on a straight line, so they are both on this straight line here. So we know that they've got to add up to 180. So let's write that down. 13m plus 39 plus x is equal to 180 degrees, or I don't normally put that in for the working out, I always put that in for the answer. So we can solve this, or well, first of all, we know what m is, so it'd be 13 times n, which is 130, and then we can solve this. So let's get my solving lines in, and so that's going to be 169 plus x equals 180, and we're going to just take that away from both sides, the 169. So we've got x equals 11. So the value of x will be 11 degrees. So if we look at the graph, this point here is it's the biggest. This one comes close, but it's not the biggest. So the biggest would be this one. And if we draw a line down from there, now we might think that it's enough to say Q4, but actually there's two Q4s here. So we must state the year as well, so Q4 in the year 2000. So we're given 21 to 4 is the ratio. We're just going to have our lines in, because what we need to do is make the left hand side be 1. Okay. And to do that, for 21 I need to divide it by itself, divide it by 21, and we're going to do the same to the right hand side. So 21 divided by 21 is 1, perfect, that's what we wanted. 4 divided by 21 is 0.190 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 1 to 0.19. There is quite an easy way of doing this question, but I'm going to show you the long way and then we're going to work out what the quicker way is. So I'm going to pair up the A and the 1, which it suggests in the question. Then I'm going to work out the A and the 2 as a different combination, A3, A4, etc. Then I'm going to look at the B and do the same thing, B1, B2, B3, etc. Then I'm going to work out the C, so all the combinations with C. So how many combinations are there with A? Well, there's going to be 7 because there's 7 numbers. How many with B? Well, there's also going to be 7. And how many with C? Well, there's also going to be 7. So in total, there's going to be 7 plus 7 plus 7, which is 21. And the way I can work that out easily is work out how many combinations there are with spinner 1. Well, there's 3. How many combinations there are with spinner 2? 7. And we just times the 2 together. 3 times 7 is 21. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9 to 6 to 13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represent plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets. So 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 sweets. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 sweets. So the total number of sweets will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. A frequency polygon is like a line graph. In fact, it's a type of line graph. But it is when you have the data in a group. So we've got the data here as a group of 0 to 80. So there are 11 at 0 to 80. And then 18 at 80 to 160. And 6 at 160 to 240. Now, where am I going to plot this? It will involve putting a cross somewhere on this graph. And it would seem unfair if I put it all at 0, and it would also seem unfair if I put it all at 80. So what we do is we find the midpoint, the halfway point between 0 and 80, which is obviously 40, and we plot our coordinate there. So it seems to be going up in 2s, so it would be there. So that's at 40, 11, the coordinate. Our next one, we plot at the midpoint again, which would be 120, and it's just halfway between 80 and 160. And it's 18 high, so it'll be up here. And then the final one is at 200, and it will be 6 high, so 200 is halfway, and we're looking at 6 high, so it'll be here. Then when you're done, you need to join them up with straight lines. So I'm just going to get my ruler, join them up, perfectly straight lines, and there we are. So we need to first of all work out the amount of machine minutes it takes to make a toy. And what we do is we multiply the amount of machines by the amount of minutes. So 5 times 40, which would be 200. So if we had one machine, it would take 200 minutes to create one toy. Here we asked, well, okay, what if we wanted a toy every 8 minutes? So we get the 200 and we divide it by 8. And when we do that, we get 25. So if we had 25 machines, we would be able to make it every 8 minutes. And the logic here is 5 machines. So this is machines, and this is minutes, is 40. Then 8 minutes, if you think about it, we divide that by 5 to get to 8. And so if we divide the amount of minutes by 5, we actually times the amount of machines required by 5. So this is called an inverse relationship. So if one doubles, the other halves. If one divided by 5, the other will times by 5. So our answer here is 25 machines. The formula y equals mx plus c includes this m, and the m means the gradient. So if we're looking for something that is parallel to y equals 9x plus 18, we're looking at this number here. And for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same gradient. So we could just write y equals 9x plus or subtract anything. Or we could just write y equals 9x. I'm going to say plus 5. So we're going to start just by writing this out. So m equals 7 brackets x minus 10. And we're going to put our solving lines in. I'm going to start by expanding the brackets. And we don't need to. We could divide both sides by 7, but I think this is a bit easier. And we're going to subtract, or we're going to add 70 to both sides. So we're trying to get x as the subject. So we're trying to get x on its own. And we're next going to divide both sides by 7. So we have m plus 70, all of that over 7 equals x. So x equals m plus 70 over 7. To see if a number's in a sequence, we get the nth term and we get it equal to the number we think is in the sequence. And if the number is in the sequence, then we'll get an integer for n. If the number's not in the sequence, then we'll get a decimal. So we're just solving this now, and we're doing 135 take away 24, which is 111. And then we're going to divide both sides by 10, and you're probably already seeing the fact that it doesn't work exactly because n is 11.1, which means that Prisha is wrong. 135 can't be in that sequence. Whenever we do these kind of questions, it's always best to convert the pattern into numbers. So we're just going to count the dots. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in the first one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So our sequence is going 9, 13, 17. And we're going to see what it's going up in. So we're adding 4 each time. And that means our sequence will involve 4n. And then what we do is we go backwards 1 to find the 0th term. So we're going to take away 1. So 9 take away 1 is 5. So the 0th term is 5. And the 0th term just tells us what to add on to the 4n. So 4n plus 5 will be our answer. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.